Welcome to the Flexible Philosophy Podcast, where we explore psychology, religion, and philosophy in everyday life. We are both therapists, but we're not your therapist. This show is just for conversation, learning, and fun. It's not professional advice or therapy. If you need support for your own situation, please reach out to a professional therapist. We are so glad you're here. Let's kick it off. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode.
Is this
Now-
recording?
Yes, we're recording.
Okay. We are having a rapture of a time over here with our internet and technology. So,
This is called Hot Take Podcast Day because we're running out of time. We're just going to do a hot take on this random thing. Okay, ready?
yes.
As I started deconstructing my religious beliefs, there was this moment where I decided to stop reading the Bible every day. And I'll explain. It was because I had been taught, like, there was a person who said in a small group, or I don't know, it really resounded in my head. They were like, whenever I stop reading the Bible every single day, they were like, I can tell that my faith changes, or like I stop believing in the things that I should. And I thought in the middle of like semi deconstruction, I was like, that's concerning because it sounds like you have to brainwash yourself with the Bible every day to stay true to it. And it's like, wouldn't that be what someone tells you in like a cult? Anyway, the thought, this was way before I was obsessed with cults. The thought popped in my mind though. I was like, if I have to read these words every day to stay like true to them, that seems concerning to me. So I decided stop doing like the quiet time, which is like you have to have this devotional every single day or else God thinks you're not being obedient. And I did a little challenge to stop reading the Bible.
Okay. How interesting that you're using the word challenge for that, because usually the challenge is to read it every day or 90-day reading the Bible cover to cover challenge. So, your challenge is like opposite of any other challenge that you've done before with the Bible.
Correct. I had
Okay.
spent years, probably 20 years up until that point, consistently grading myself on obedience to whether or not I had read the Bible every day and done a
Yes.
quality quiet time with the Lord, if you will, where I like read and journaled and all the things. And yeah, I was like, reverse challenge. I'm going to try not reading the Bible for a while and see how that feels.
Okay. Then what?
It did change. Like, I feel like some of the times when I would read the Bible before that, I would go throughout my day with this lens on of, I need to remember what I read. I need to remember that I'm being like, or kind, or especially remember that I need to evangelize someone. And so it was like reading the Bible in the day would give me this fuel for how I looked at the rest of the world all the rest of the day. Does that resonate at all with you?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially, were you working at that apartment thing at the time?
This was like after I had to do the apartment ministry where we like had to record evangelisms, but it was still at a time in my life where I was feeling high pressure to evangelize people.
Okay. You had to record those encounters?
Yes.
Oh
I had to
my,
record conversations I had with someone about church, how many gospel presentations, how many church visits I got a visitor to come with me.
oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
I had to record it in a spreadsheet.
Okay. Oh, but it wasn't recorded like via audio.
No, I didn't have to audio.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? I would love to see those recordings. Okay. So you were keeping track of all these conversations that you're having, like meaningful connections and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So adding the pressure to it, yes, needing that fuel, or like you have this belief that the more you read it, the more like spiritual things will be on your radar for you to be obedient, or like hearing this like still small voice and being able to like jump into action.
Yes,
Okay.
the Bible reading in the morning would marinate me in this mindset for the rest of the day.
Okay. I understand that.
Did that ever happen to you?
That,
Do you do you relate to that? Like reading the Bible or having a devotional would
yes.
spur you on to be a certain form of religious?
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking of this verse that said, man cannot live on bread alone, but only by the word of God or whatever. And so it's like there's so many sermons and stuff about how you'll be spiritually dead if you're not consuming the Bible, or like if you're not consuming these words, or there's stuff about, oh, you'll just be like a lukewarm person. I think like certain people that might listen to this podcast or hear me say that I identify as a progressive Christian and stuff, and go, oh, are you going to church? Are you involved in a community? No, I'm not, because it's really triggering for me to do that right now. Oh, you're a lukewarm believer then. There's all this stuff about how much are you devoted to this, or what's the evidence that you're like soaked in these teachings, or then there's even, oh, I go to an Episcopalian church. Oh, yeah, they're not, that's not like the real, that's not the real message. It's actually this. I think there's always, yeah, but what kind? So Jehovah's Witnesses came up to me not too long ago. And they're like, oh, like here's our literature, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm good with all that. And they're like, do you know the message or whatever? I was like, yeah, I know the message. Which one though? Yeah. So yeah, that resonates, of this pressure to like always be reading or always be exposed to it. Or they're all like, even if you don't understand it, just keep reading it, keep trying it. I did a challenge where I read the Bible in 90 days. That
Yeah,
was, it was like over an hour of reading a day.
it's very intense. I never
People,
accomplished. Congrats.
people were impressed by
I
my tenacity. And I'm like, in later years, I'm like, oh, it was OCD that was doing that. But people were impressed and they were very celebratory of that challenge. So,
Yes, it's a
yeah.
big deal to do that.
Mm,
I think that you could take it all different directions, but one of the okay, so here's I have to tell you the second half of this theory, okay?
okay.
So one of the theories I have though is that I was self-indoctrinating every by daily reading that. It's I guess I was continuing to self-indoctrinate the feelings, the thoughts, and the rhetoric that I needed. So you have church or your church group, and that's great. But then that daily reading was like keeping it going, like you would in a cult. Like you have to have these very heavy daily focuses where you're like constantly getting exposed to that. Okay. Pair that with social media right now. I've had this like secondary response feeling like when I'm on Instagram and Facebook, I feel like the same it feels like I'm radicalizing myself in a sort of similar way by exposing myself to all of the information and emotion and like short clips the way that social media does. What's interesting though is, and you can have a whole convo about pros and cons of social media and pros and cons of maybe I'm just exposing myself to the actual news, which is really terrible. And that's the problem. It's not social media. It's the feeling it gives me. Like my brain connected. There's this feeling I have throughout the rest of my day and the way I think about other people, especially, that was the same when I was reading the Bible every day. Because now I read social media for 20 minutes and I instantly am angry at everyone I know in my world experience that has alternative views. But it feels the same as if I used to read the Bible about the lost people and then I would think about the lost people in the world all day. Like it just polarizes everything
Mm.
similarly. So that's my hot pitch to you. What do you think?
Okay. I think a lot of times what happens is that you end up in an echo chamber. So your algorithm knows what you want, it knows what you agree with, what you're likely to watch all the way through or share and stuff like that. So it shows you more of that stuff. And so I think participating in religious activities and stuff like that, it's like this is part of the formula to become spiritually mature. And this is what I have to do, or it feels right and stuff. But in my case, with my background, it felt right because it was reducing anxiety. And so I think like when you're exposed to the same stuff over and over, or it's like you'll die without this, it's okay, so I can't miss. It ends up creating like an echo chamber. And I think it's reminiscent of social media, or just like the echo chamber of we don't associate outside of our denomination. Like I was saying with the Episcopalian stuff earlier, it's yeah, you're doing that, but it's not as efficient in checking off all the boxes because yeah.
It just doubles down on whatever the cultural, like whether it's religion or politics, like the polarization in the echo chamber, it seems like participating in the constant Bible reading or the constant social media exposure, it just continues to increase that feeling
Mm,
and decrease the ability to think for yourself. Like when I like stopped reading the Bible, I felt like I could think for myself better.
yeah.
And when I've gotten off social media this week, I was like, oh, I feel like I can hear my own thoughts better. It's like me again.
Okay. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was think like with social media, there was for the longest time. So my whole relationship with social media flipped after George Floyd was murdered by the police officer. Like my relationship with social media completely changed. I think this could be like part two of the shelf moments. So
Okay.
that was the shelf moment for me with racism. Not that I was like actively racist or anything like that, but that was a shelf moment for me where I was like, okay, there is real systemic inequality. There is real power struggles and there is real privilege. And like George Floyd's death just, it completely transformed so many of my values. And I think that at that time, everything was polarized, of course. And there was this rhetoric out there, this message of if you're silent right now, we know which side you're on. And I was like, okay, I want you to know I am not on that side, but I'm also just like doing this complete overhaul of realizing all these things because like I come from circles that are like I worked my way from the bottom up. There's no such thing as privilege. This family grew up poor. We are third generation immigrants, so we know what it's like, stuff like that. I was doing this complete overhaul. And because that happened during the pandemic, I was like figuring it out by myself. And it was really confusing. And also, we stopped going to church at that time. So,
Oh, wow.
because the
That was,
pandemic, yeah, we were like not as involved, like our group fell apart. But it was like, okay, I'm doing this complete overhaul. I don't know what I believe, but what I do believe is that Black Lives Matter. How can I make that apparent in a way that feels right to me because I'm such a private person. And so I don't know, it's just like this struggle with like how much you should put out there and stuff like that.
that's
So
hard.
yes. And so it was like creating a new echo chamber or like new values that like for me was hard to separate like white privilege or colonialism from faith and Christianity or what is problematic in evangelicalism or what are the costs of all this stuff. It just resulted in this isolation and me trying to figure out like my values all over again from the bottom up. So that was like a really big shelf moment for me that hit on a political level, a spiritual level, a religious level, like a community level, because we weren't getting together with our community anymore. And yeah, it was a lot. So I think it feels reminiscent when it's I'm gonna take a step back from that and then you come back to your own voice and stuff like that. But social media has such a pressure to be like represent your brand. Or like lately, people are like, if you're posting about X, Y, or Z topic, just unfriend me now. Or if you're posting too many political things, I'm gonna mute you because I can't handle it anymore. So if you stop seeing my, that's why. Really dramatic things when boomers will post on Facebook, remove me from this group. I never asked to be in. It's okay. Thank you for your announcement of I'm unfriending these people or something. But yeah, just like the echo chamber of it all. Or when Kamala Harris was running for president, I was 100% certain that she was going to win by a landslide. Okay. Because I was just based on my social media, like the things that were popping up for me, I was like, 90% of voters are going to vote for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 90 something percent of the content that I was seeing was like, we're voting for her. It's a no brainer. I'm with her. T shirt ads of Kamala Harris, donate to the campaign. We're going to kill it, or whatever. And then when Donald Trump won, I was very confused because I was like, no one's talking about Donald Trump. No one wants him to win. But it's like, that was the echo chamber that I was in because of the social media algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I saw the states results coming in. And I was like, where is everyone? Okay. Yeah, that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like I've just given into this like algorithm or echo chamber this whole time.
It's like I'm still making the same argument that you had skewed data based on the thing you were exposing yourself to all the time, which is the similar thing to the Bible, which is if you're exposing yourself to get all your data or all your information from this devotional for how you're going to live your life. Like they're very different sources, but I'm just saying it's the consistent like marination in whatever the data is that is risky because if your data points are off, then you're off.
Yes. Yeah. So okay, so question for you. In your circles or in your like Christian community or whatever, was the quiet time or like relationship with God romanticized as like a date type of deal?
Yes.
I was
That was
imagine
yes.
I was imagining that you like had that. I don't know why. But did you read Beth Moore books and stuff like that?
Yes. Oh, beloved. She was like the queen of that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
You know
So
what? Yeah.
I know what you're saying. Or the book Jesus the One and Only is
Yes.
very it's very romantic. Or he's hugging me, he's spoiling me, like Jesus is wooing me with this like relationship and stuff. And it becomes like a dating relationship or whatever. So it's like you can't miss your quiet time because that's standing Jesus up for a date. Like he's there waiting in this quiet place and you're not showing up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that complicates things. Or like I was thinking for your challenge or whatever, was it like a breakup? We need to take some time apart. Or did that romanticized view inform your challenge or anything like that?
Okay, that's interesting developmentally because I think where it was hook, line, and sinker for me was when I was at a developmental stage of like puberty and wanting connection and belonging with a romantic partner, and church just swooped right into that longing and filled it with Jesus is your boyfriend rhetoric. And I was like, oh, great, he's perfect for me. Yes. And then journaling and praying and worshiping, and you're getting all that connection and being, it's so crazy because you're like, there's no one there. There's literally an invisible person there, right? Like you're imagining this person there who is supposed to be like giving you all this love and attention, but really it's just a hallucination of like, this boyfriend
So you're like, okay,
out. And so it's all make believe in your head, but it feels so real.
so you're like, there's this invisible person there, and you're like, oh no, that wasn't agnostic enough. You're imagining an invisible person there. Hold on, it's a hallucination.
Ugh, yes, that is accurate. But then as my developmental parts changed from longing, I think it was when rationality, like, so then when I had that thought about the Bible, I was like 20, since I was already married with kids, like probably 25, let's say. And so it was a different brain function that had that, hey, like, I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to be reading the same thing over and over every day because you're dependent on it for what you're supposed to think and feel. Like, I was like, that sounds shifty to me.
Yeah. Yeah, like it created a codependence. Or there's times where it's like you feel like you're really showing up spiritually, but like God isn't or whatever. And there's answers for that. There's go-to answers as to why or like what to do or stuff. So even then it's like really trust your own observations and stuff like that because it's like this happens and like it can be fixed or I just need to like up my devotion here or there. I don't know. Or, oh, I should read Oswald Chambers now instead of this Beth Moore devotional. Or I don't know. It's tricky.
Oh, I had all the Beth Moores. And then you go to the Bible study group and you do your review who's done what for the week and the fill in the blanks. And then you listen to her 1 hour long lecture. It was a whole thing.
What?
For that? Yeah, it was a whole, and it would come with like the DVD or the VHS.
Oh,
The leader
okay.
would have, so you would do the workbook on your own, and then everybody would come together and review the workbook for the week and then listen to an hour-long lecture from her.
Yes. Okay. You guys had like the curriculum.
Correct.
Yeah, I wasn't exposed to Beth Moore's stuff until I think I was like a young adult. Actually, it might have been during my undergrad, but I'm looking at my Kindle right now, which my Kindle, I've had the same account. Like through Bible college and like through missions work and all this stuff. So seeing some of the books that are on here, I'm like, okay, like I know where I was when I got that.
Yes,
But
I've done that too.
there was a moment where Kindle had all Beth Moore's books were free. And so I still have all of these. I have four
Oh,
I have all these Beth Moore books like on my Kindle today. What I don't have is Jesus the One and Only, which is a masterpiece. Looking through my Kindle, there are some obvious times where I was in certain echo chambers. And later on, they became a little bit more open minded, some like more progressive, liberal theology echo chambers and stuff like that. But for me personally, there arrived a time where I was like, I think I need to take a break from like the theological exploration. Like just for a moment. Like I need a break from it. Sometimes it's more anxiety provoking than it is comforting, or sometimes there's just a time where you want to read a novel and you want to read a novel that's not by C.S. Lewis or
yes.
yeah. So anyways, yeah, it's so interesting how it's what are you reading nowadays and what scripture teaching you? I had a chiropractor that was always like, what's the Lord showing you, Lisa? I'm like, oh gosh, I have to have an answer for that.
Oh, it's intense. But we're
Yeah.
all exposed to things all the time.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the Bible, we're always being influenced. But social media and Bible reading, I think, are still two really strong influences.
But like in the beginning, it feels threatening to be influenced or like open to other things.
Oh, yeah. High
Yeah.
control, though. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, this
So
was a fun adventure.
it was. Thank you for going on this trip.
Yep. I don't know what we'll be back with next time, but it'll be a whole nother adventure.
Yep. All right. Over and out.
Over and out. Have a very good week.